Hello, everybody. This is Mike here, and you're listening to the All Metal Mode podcast. Boy, do we have a show for you. It's kind of all crazy. A lot of things have changed. I just got a text from one person. We got to change the time for them and stuff. But yeah, right after I made the post what the show's going to be about tonight, some things changed. But bear with us, and I think it'll be worth tuning in and listening to. If you're looking for the best digging tools for metal detecting and gardening, go to predatortools.com. They build the highest quality and strongest digging tools made. Their tools are made from the finest American-made steel built right here in the United States. Each tool is heat treated and tempered one at a time for maximum strength. They are second to none. There are many to choose from, and each has a 5-year warranty. So if you need digging tools that last and make the job of digging easier, look no farther than predatortools.com or call Pam at 856-455-3790 and let them know All Metal Mode sent you. They're the tools I use. They're the only tools I'll use. I just love what all they have. They have so many different digging tools. We've had George and Pam on the show a few times, and it was really neat show to hear what all the different tools were designed for. Like each one has its own reason, each blade and stuff, there was a reason it was designed, and I really liked that show because, some of their tools I thought, well, what would you use that for? And it was just really neat to talk to them and do that. So tonight we're going to definitely talk some metal detectors. These are my shows. I love talking the technology and stuff. And these are my favorite shows, but things did kind of change, and we're going to have somebody in here in just a little bit, and then we're going to check in with Dorian and Dennis. Many of you know our fill-in, Mr. Dennis. He fills in when Dorian can't be on the show quite often. He is currently in Kentucky with Dorian, and they're doing some metal detecting and stuff. So the two of them are together, and we're gonna get an update from them and talk to them, and maybe we can get them to chime in on some of these detectors we're going to be talking about. But yeah, so that's basically it. Bear with me real quick. I'm doing a post here. I apologize being by myself. It's a little bit tough at times, running everything, but give me 1 second and we will get the show started. I don't know if any of you saw that Friday Garrett talked about the Apex, and boy, I thought that was really, really cool. And we're going to talk about that, and I'll give you my take and some of my thoughts on that. And I'd be curious what your thoughts are. If you're in chat, let me know. Let me know what you think about it. But we're going to wait on that just a little bit. What else? I want to talk about, I've been using the Simplex a lot lately, and I am just floored by that detector. And it'll come into play throughout the show tonight. I think it is really hard to beat that detector right now. I have used I've at least had my hands on and played with all the high-end detectors that are out there right now. I've used a lot of high-end detectors over the years, and that Simplex, nothing about it says entry-level price range. Incredible depth, great recovery speed. very well built, very ergonomic. Man, I just love that thing with the iron audio. In that price range, waterproof double D coil, and there was another thing, the iron audio. You can ground balance it. Those are all features you usually don't see at the entry level range. And I'm blown away by it. The more I use it, the more I like that detector. And I loved it from the beginning. Anymore, it's a toss-up whether I'm going to use that or my Rudis Alder 71, which I love. And sometimes I prefer the Rudis. Other times I prefer the Simplex. Jeff asked me if I'm using the new update. I have not updated yet. I seen a couple people had issues and stuff, and I just kind of wanted to wait because I'm really happy with the way that the Simplex is performing on the old update. So I wanted to let that get out there for a bit. I will eventually update. One thing that I wanted to tell people, if you've got a Simplex or if you get a Simplex, I've told a couple people I'm going to test this for them, and I haven't, and I need to. As many of you know, I used to build custom headphones for metal detecting, and so all my headphones that I have are custom built by me with top-notch speakers, and my favorite program is the field program on the Simplex. Well, I was seeing people saying they didn't like that program. I've seen several people, and it was all about the tones and the sounds. And I was kind of scratching my head because I don't have great hearing. I've metal detected with people, like if you detect with a musician, man, can they really make out those nuances and the slight tone change. I can't do that. But yet I love this field program on the Simplex. Well, one day I was out with somebody else and I grabbed, I had another pair of headphones, a cheaper pair with me. They weren't mine. I was actually borrowing them. And I was out with another guy, and I let him borrow my headphones, and I used these cheap headphones, and I plug them into the Simplex, into the field program, and it sounds horrible. I can't make out the sounds. It's driving me crazy. And all of a sudden, I thought about it for a second. I said, "Hey, let me borrow my headphones real quick." I plugged them in, and completely different. Now, the headphones I were using were designed for metal detecting, and they weren't horrible headphones. Not like ultra cheap or anything, more midline headphones, but they sounded horrible. I couldn't use the field mode with those headphones, and so I don't use wireless with the Simplex. I plug into them and have since the beginning. So what I'm getting at, if you're having trouble with that detector, if you've got a Simplex and you're having trouble with that mode, the tones, what I would tell you, and it's everybody with wireless, those wireless headphones, not that they're bad, but they were probably made for stereo. They probably sound great if you hook them up to a stereo. Well, metal detectors fall almost at the other end of the spectrum of sound. So it would make sense of why that would be. But what I would say, if you are using the Simplex and you don't like this, if the sounds in the field program are not sounding good, I would suggest trying a better set of headphones plugged in, because it made a world of difference. So that's one thing I would say about it, that's I'm probably getting more out of it than some are because of that, I think. because it doesn't sound right. But that detector is mind blowing. It's amazing. Jeff said, "Can you connect Apple AirPods on the Simplex?" Jeff, I don't think so. I would assume not, but I am not sure. But yeah, the Simplex is really good. How's Katie liking hers, Jeff? Katie Yuri, who they listen in often, I know she's got a Simplex. And I've just been really impressed with it all around. It handles the iron really good, really decent IDs, ID on coins and stuff like that. It's simple. It's, if you're getting into the hobby new to it, that's where I would start. If you're using a little bit older midline detector, I would recommend it. I mean, to me, that detector should be reshaping the hobby. That's how I feel about it. And, those that know me know I love my Rudis. I love that Rudis for so many reasons. And the Simplex gets picked up as much or more than the Rudis. And that's saying a lot coming from me. That's, I'm not brand loyal. I don't care. I use what works. I don't care where it comes from, who's making it, what people are saying about it. If it works for me, that's what I'll use. If it's getting the job done like I want to and performing like I want, I don't care. I don't care who's making it. And I'm just amazed. Absolutely amazed by it. And one of the things I put on the advertisement earlier was we were going to talk about the MindLab Vanquish. And that was kind of misleading, and I really didn't think about it until after I posted it and stuff. I'm not going to talk about the Vanquish because I don't know anything about it, and that's my point. I'm not hearing anything about it. If any of you have one, know somebody that has one that can speak on it and stuff, I would love to talk to them, maybe even get them on the show. I don't know why I'm not hearing anything about the Vanquish, and any of the Facebook groups I'm in and stuff, I'm just not hearing anything. And I don't know why. It's got the multiple frequency, simultaneous multiple frequency. I mean, they should be a heck of a detector. So if anybody out there knows anybody with a Vanquish that can talk about them, I would love to hear about it. Maybe we can get you on a podcast episode, or if not, if you'd be comfortable, messaging or a phone call, because I'm a little disappointed I'm not hearing anything. I have nothing on that. I don't know anybody that owns one right now or anything, and that's surprising to me. I haven't heard anything good or bad, just nothing, and that's odd to me. So if anybody knows anybody, let me know. And what else here? Well, I don't know. I'm excited to talk to Dorian and Dennis here in a bit. Yeah, Mike said he hasn't heard anything either. I'm really surprised with that being multiple frequency. That simultaneous multiple frequency that's so hot with the Equinox series. Why we're not hearing about that. And, maybe they just didn't do much marketing or something. I don't know. But, I was just thinking, I've been thinking about that. Like, why hasn't anybody... Oh, Bill, I'd be really curious to know why. Bill said he knew one guy had it 3 days and offed it. I'm sorry, but 3 days isn't enough to know anything. You know what I mean? You can't have a detector for 3 days and think that it's bad or something. You got to learn it, but I'd be real curious what he didn't like about it. I'm just stalling because we're going to have a call here in a few minutes. We're waiting. And then we're going to talk about the Apex, which I'm really excited to discuss. Then I think after that we're gonna call Dennis and Dorian, and I think Dorian would like to talk about it a little bit, and we'll go from there. And Bill, I'm really curious why he sold it, got rid of it after 3 days. I don't know. I'm starting to. Is it going to be a flop like the? Yeah, I haven't heard anything about the Evo 600 either, C-scope. But Mike, we're not going to hear a lot about or the 6000. Yeah, we're not going to hear a lot about that here in the United States. I don't think, because if to get one, you got to buy it from overseas. So I don't know here in the United States market if we'll hear much about it anyhow. But we'll see. I don't know. But MineLab, as big as they are and popular, I'm just surprised. And the Go finds, those were, I hate to say it, but those were a complete flop for MineLab. The Go Find series, it was hard to find many people that talked highly of those in any way. And maybe it's because they thought they were getting something a lot more than they were, maybe for what it was a good detector. I never used one, so I don't know. But, I find it hard to believe that this Vanquish could be a flop. I mean, it's using a multiple frequency. It's water resistant. I'm surprised we haven't heard from more people, but hopefully somebody out there knows somebody, or they're using one and they'll get in touch with me and let me know what's going on with it. So yep. Hold on, bear with me 1 second here. I gotta do something. I apologize, guys. Hold on. Sorry, some things kind of come up sudden. Hold on. Geesh, I'm sorry, just brought the whole show to a stop, didn't I? Okay, hold on. Sorry, everybody. Geesh. Yeah, Mike's talking about that Evo 6000. For those of you who don't know, C-scope is out of England, and they've been around since, I want to say, the 60s or 70s. And they do a lot of, everything they've had, I think, at least for the last several years. I don't know if they have any meter machines, but everything is analog with no screens. They might have a meter machine, and they come out with a really up-to-date looking metal detector, digital detector. I'm really excited to hear something about that. If any of my UK friends can let me know about that, I'd love to know about that. I've got the C-Scope 6MXI, which is a 3-tone detector with iron audio. That's a really neat one. It doesn't have a screen, but a really good relic detector for sure. So okay, bear with me here. We're gonna get a call in, and okay, hold on. Hopefully. I don't know why I'm not getting any sound. Gypsy, are you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Oh, hold on. You're not. We got issues here.
Can you hear me?
Okay, why don't I have you? Of course we're going to have trouble, because that's just how it goes. Hold on, Gypsy. Something's happened to my settings. Okay, what's my problem? Oh, can you guys hear her?
Can y'all hear me? Hello?
I can't hear you. I can hear you, but not.
Huh.
Okay, but can you guys hear? Oh, they can hear us both. So why can't I hear you?
That's weird.
Oh, hold on. Okay, there we go.
Can y'all hear me now?
Yeah, it was me. I had a setting. I don't know how that setting ever got messed up, but yeah, there you are. All right, Gypsy, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. I just ate some good old grilling out on the grill, barbecue, and I am stuffed.
Huh. Nice. It's been a busy afternoon. I don't know if I can't do Sunday. I'll let you know.
That's okay.
What I can do as soon as I can.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. But so what's your take on this new
on the new Simplex?
Apex.
Apex. They both have the X on the end there. The new Apex. I have to say, I didn't know what to think at first. Garrett was very secretive about it, from the very beginning, even to the ones that were going to be testing it. And, they were super secretive, so we were, guessing all kinds of things. At first I thought, some people guessed that it may be part of the ACE line. Some people guessed that they were going to completely do away with the ACE line. Some people guessed that it was going to be a high-end machine that might be replacing, the AT series. But there was a lot of speculation. I was wrong on some of my guesses. We were getting subtle hints, from those teaser videos, like, I wish I would have put it together. Hey, this guy's bringing out an ACE. Well, there's a big hint right there. It could be
right. I think everybody was surprised they brought out an ACE detector. Because I think you're right. I think everybody thought. I did. I never in a million years thought about an ACE, especially when they announced new technology and all that. And I'll be honest, I was disappointed at first, but, one of the things that I would tell people to keep in mind, the ACE series has been around, I believe, since the late 70s. And I think now, the last 10 years, it's been labeled for their entry-level detectors. When we think of ACE now, we think of entry-level. But if you look at the features that this thing has, the technology, the ACE name can be evolving and changing, and that's not a bad thing. So just because it has the ACE name to it, I don't think that is any reason to be disappointed, I guess I should say.
Right. I think, the ACE umbrella, if you will, we can call it umbrella, ranges, anywhere from the very beginning basic model all the way up to, the 400, and then now the ACE Apex. And I think it offers a wide variety, for there's so many people that start out with an ACE series But more importantly, I think a lot of people will also use those as backup machines. I know I have Ace machines that because they are so easy to use, and people, continually prove that they find things with these easy to use machines. I carry them with me when I'm, let's just say, for instance, I'm detecting a property where, how if you've ever detected those yards or those properties where, I want to try it, and so that's why I always try to bring an easy to use, turn on and go detector for someone that's never tried it. It's a great way for them to get their feet wet and try it out and see if they're even interested before they, even a lot of people that are beginning, before they make that big, that investment into a machine.
Right.
Because I think a lot of people, the first thing they do, I made that mistake 22 years ago where I went and bought the first place I saw a detector without any research was at Radio Shack,
Right.
Same.
When we got into it, though, I don't know if the internet was, I'm sure it was out, but it was not widespread at all. Matter of fact, when I started getting on the internet, it was dial up and you'd sit there, I don't know if you remember them days, Gypsy, but we didn't have.
Oh, yeah, I do.
we didn't have the
computer. We didn't have social media, people posting. The only thing we did have is when we went into a store and we saw some detector on the shelf, or we saw a magazine, and those magazines were so obscure back then. Mm-hmm. I had to search at bookstores to find a treasure magazine back in the day. Mm-hmm. When you and I started, because you and I started around the same time detecting. And, there were no podcasts. There were no...
Right.
There were forums. There were forums, like the forum that you're creating. But even then, I didn't know anything about those. So I had to learn the hard way. I think people we're all a little spoiled these days because we do have the internet and we've got this person using this machine, this person using that machine, and we're getting all kinds of different people from all over that are starting at different levels. So we're getting all kinds of opinions and at different levels. Mm-hmm. And what I'm seeing is a lot of the people that first response to this machine was, it's not waterproof. Well, what is waterproof and what is fully submersible? There's a difference between weatherproof or rainproof or water submersible. Then you get into how many of a percentage of people are really out water hunting. Probably only about, according to, I think, what Steve quoted on the reveal, the big reveal that day, was around 20%.
I bet.
I'm not sure,
I bet 20% is high.
And
or what are we talking about? Are we talking about like people who buy a waterproof detector that actually use the water? I'm like actually submerging it because I would doubt it.
Submerge it.
Mm-hmm.
Actually submerge it. I know more and more people are getting into water detecting because submersible machines are becoming more readily on the market. But back when you and I started, there wasn't that many on the market.
No, now everything's
really
waterproof.
And there wasn't anything with a digital readout then either.
Right.
And there sure wasn't, multi-frequency. So we see technology constantly evolving, and I think that what Garrett is doing, it's a really smart move now that I've had time to really let it sink in, to really get behind the thoughts and the minds of a company that's been doing this for over 55 years, that knows the market way better than, I do.
Right.
And I think it's really a smart move on their part. You've got some people balking about the price, and it does seem like an awkward price coming right smack there in the middle, but you've got to look at where are they aiming for with this market. They're aiming for, yes, beginner people that want to start out with something that's affordable where they're not going and spending, 800 to 1,000 plus on a machine, and they're still getting the packed full of modern technology, and I think it's, they're always on top of their game. They've always been a trendsetter. We didn't have, these other water machines readily at that cost or the cost that they are now until the AT Pro came out. There was nothing on the market like that. They had been continually trendsetters in the market. And then, of course, somebody will come out with something else that's competing. But I think that they're right on mark with this machine, with the multi-frequency simultaneously, multi-frequency and the different single frequencies that you can choose from for a great mid-range price, as opposed to, when we first saw multi-frequency,
Right.
for me, it was 1,200 plus or up to 3,000. I couldn't afford that.
Right.
At that time.
Yeah. No, I think, I don't know how the metal detecting community will embrace, how they're going to embrace this detector. But to me, it says that they're working hard. Yeah, they're in the game. They want you to buy Garrett detectors. They want to stay innovative. I see a lot of great features. I think, I just recently finished an article where I said, something along the lines, I won't hardly use a detector anymore if it doesn't have iron audio. I love that feature.
Right.
And, having that, this new Apex having that, they're listening to people. They know what people are wanting because they're paying attention. And the waterproof thing doesn't, there are so many people I have met that are like, they don't want a certain detector because, but that's not waterproof. I've never, ever seen you get in the water, ever. I've never seen you detect in rain. Well, and it's funny how they act because, don't get me wrong, it's nice. It's a nice feature, but most people don't use that feature anyhow.
And how many, and then I've been getting this, I don't know if you've heard it. Well, what if you're caught out in a trench, this downpouring rain, Well, a lot of times there's lightning when the rain comes. So I admit, I've detected in the rain. But if it's lightning, I'm getting the heck out of there.
Yeah.
I'm not chancing it. I don't want to become my detector to become some lightning rod. So let's face it. How many people are really going to be in this downpour detecting for hours? It's just very, it's kind of, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I think, I think if most people who were disappointed about that really think about it, it's really no big deal to them. I'm not trying to sell them. I don't care. I think most that would even be upset by it, just if they think about it, it really doesn't affect them. Yeah, if you go hunt in the rivers and creeks and the ocean all the time and you submerge it, yeah, of course you can't do that. But most of your coin and relic hunters, it's the majority that are worried about it, it doesn't even affect them. So I wouldn't let that.
And it's kind of like what Steve was saying. There's more to come with Garrett. They're going to be adding more detectors to the sports line. So With that said, I think we can expect more new
Yes.
things, new technologies coming out, and this is just the beginning, just the beginning, so I'm excited. I can't wait to use it. I get my unit tomorrow,
Yay.
my test unit.
What time are you going to be up here to my house?
Right. So the good thing is, of course, you and I being not too terribly far from each other, Mike's going to get spoiled. He's going to be able to see it and all that good stuff. And
and if I wasn't so scared of Gypsy, I would take it and use it for a day or something. But she comes across as really sweet. But I'll tell you one thing I learned moving to Texas. You don't mess with Texas women. She might be sweet and nice, but there's no way I'm going to try to take it from her because I got a feeling I'd probably end up in the hospital or something. But I am going to beg and plead for you to let me swing that thing a little bit.
Right.
She's like, maybe. How much money you got? Depends on how much money you got on you, Mike.
Right. Something for our listeners, just to let y'all know, the ones that are receiving the test units, these are still being fine-tuned. So we're going to be using this particular test unit that's going out tomorrow just for about a week. We're going to be giving Garrett feedback on settings and what we think, or if there is anything that we think that needs to be tweaked. There's going to be they haven't finished. They're still fine-tuning. So these have been tuned and these have been programmed, but Garrett wants to get it perfect before they release this machine. So we're going to be testing these prototypes, and we're going to be giving Garrett feedback. And then what's going to happen is we won't be posting any videos during this prototype time. And then within about another 2 weeks, we'll be giving these machines back to Garrett, and they will be giving us a fine-tuned Apex for us to get out and video and test, and put it through the ringer. So we won't be posting any videos of the testing yet. So y'all just stay tuned. We can, and we'll be posting if we find anything interesting or cool. We can post photos of our finds. We just won't be able to post videos yet. And then all the ones that are testing the machine, we'll be posting videos at the same time, releasing those videos at the same time. So there's not one out, testing and they go throw a video up and then the other may not be able to get out. It's going to make it all run. Garrett's got a plan. I think they're being really smart about it. And us testers, we're gonna really test these machines and see what they've got. And we're going to give Garrett, our honest opinion, and Garrett's going to take that information and put it there into the machine before it comes out to onto the market. So I think it's a great thing. I'm excited.
I think too we're going to see. I think that's going to be the future for a while, is the simultaneous multiple frequency. Nocta Macro, they're saying they're working on one. Garrett's the next one after MindLab to put it out. And I'm hearing great things about that. Do you know how many numbers, what the numbers are on this? Does it go to 100 like most Garrett detectors? Do you know?
Yes, I think it was over 100 or 100 points of.
Nice.
I think it was right at about 100 points.
I think that's something just absolutely killing MindLab that they need to work on that. People that even love those Equinox I still hear complaints about, everything running together because it's such a small group of numbers.
Uh-huh.
So I'm excited to see this machine and how it performs. I think big things coming for Garrett. I'd like to say somebody in chat said they feel like Garrett's been lagging about the last 5 years. I think when the AT Pro came out, I mean, I don't even know if it's debatable. When the AT Pro come out, they changed the industry with the AT Pro. I don't even know if that's up for debate. I'll tell you, I was a little disappointed in the Max. When the Max first came out, I was hearing a lot of negative things. It was in the same kind of housing, no rechargeable battery, still had the double A's up in the housing stuff. But after talking to Gypsy and then actually several other people, and Mr. Keith Wills being one of them, who I have a great respect for his knowledge of metal detectors. I think one of the things that hurt Garrett there big time was the user. And I think a lot of users had the AT Pro. They jumped up to the Max. They weren't using it properly. And I think they just weren't giving it a chance. And when I talked to Gypsy, and she says, well, a lot of them were doing this, and this is how I run mine, and this is why I like mine. And when Mr. Keith Wills, just goes on and on about it and how great it works, and here's what he loves about it, I listen to people like that. So, would I like to see the Max in a different housing and stuff? Yeah, but have they fallen back in 5 years? I don't think so. I mean, I'll tell you what, for a single frequency detector like the Pro and the Max, I don't know if you can get much better. And now we see them here with this simultaneous multiple frequency.
And I think, Mike, you hit the nail on the head right there when you said, I think the biggest fault, the biggest thing that was the user of the AT Max. A lot of people were beginners. Some people had never used any other machine than the Pro. Mm-hmm. And then you go and you stick these extra features in there, unless you're a person that has been detecting for years, that have lots of experience. There is a learning curve. A lot of people didn't even know, what true all metal was, all metal mode. They didn't understand the threshold, what the threshold was for. They didn't understand how to set it. So that was the biggest thing right there, is you had a lot of people, Garrett came out with the Max, I'm going to go, buy it. And because it's the top of the 18 series, I'm going to go. And then they didn't know what they were doing. And then they had it for a week and were like, I don't want it anymore. Yeah. And I think that's exactly what happened.
I think that hurt the Max more than anything. Is the users. Because just like we were talking about it. So I don't think the Max was as big of a hit as it should have been, because the people like you who have been detecting a lot of time and took the time to learn it. I mean, you talk off air. I'm telling you, people, Gypsy goes on and on about the Max, and she's went into the different things she loves about it to me. I mean, this isn't just because she's with Garrett and just because she's on air. I mean, off air, that's what she uses. That's what she loves. And, when when you and I went over and seen Keith Wills, and I asked him about it, I mean, he kind of lit up and he loves the Max. And,
right.
So, I think sometimes I feel like a detector comes out and it doesn't get the notoriety it should. And other times I see a detector take off with popularity that leaves me scratching my head. And,
yeah.
And I'll be honest with you, one of those that it took off that left me scratching my head was the Ace series. And the reason I'm putting that out there, for one, I'm being honest, and number two, to let people know, I'm not just talking Garrett up like crazy here, but I'm not saying that the Ace series is bad in any way. Like, I'm talking that when the 250 came out, the 350, I just thought in the price range, I preferred the Technetics and Fishers better in that price range, is all I'm saying. I'm not saying that the Ace series wasn't, those first, when the 250 and 350 came out weren't good. I just didn't see how they ruled the market the way they did with like the Technetics and Fishers out as well, that I thought were very comparable. In some cases, I like some of the features better, but it happens, So what's going to happen with this new Apex? Who knows? Because trying to read the minds of the detectors, sometimes you just don't know how something's going to be received. But
right, you really don't. But I really, after talking to Steve Moore, the director of marketing, with Garrett, and, I think we can see a lot more in the future from Garrett. This is just the beginning, and I'm super excited about the future and what it holds.
Absolutely. Gypsy, thank you for calling in. We're going to let you go because I know that you're you got things going on and stuff. We don't want to keep you long, but thank you so much for calling in, and I'll be seeing you soon.
Lot. All right, we'll get together soon and try that out.
Yep, I'll let you know as soon as I can. All right. Well, there you have it. There's Gypsy. I'm excited to see when she gets that. We are going to get together with Mr. Dennis Wynn, who is now in chat. Dennis, I hope you guys are ready because I'm getting ready to call you right now here in just seconds. I apologize. Gypsy was supposed to be on the show in the beginning, and just a few minutes before the show, she said she couldn't be on right away, and so it pushed everything back. I did message Dorian. I hope he got it, but here we go. I'm going to try to call Dorian in, and hopefully we can talk to those two. Hopefully they're not in jail. We'll see here. I don't know. Those two old timers together scare me. I mean, who knows what they might be getting into? They might be at a national park. You know how them old timers are. They don't care. He's not answering. I'm wondering if he's maybe he's having to get permission from the warden first. And Dorian didn't answer. Uh-oh. Dennis said they're ready but wet. Dennis, how am I calling you guys in? I thought I was doing Skype. Where are you guys at? Let me know. But yeah, that's my take on this new Apex. I don't know how it'll be received. My opinion, I'm only speaking on what I saw. Obviously, I got to see performance and stuff, but everything that's being talked about the simultaneous multiple frequency is very positive. So I think for those that seen it, I would say for those who are doubting it because of the Ace name, and those doubting it because it's not waterproof, ask yourself, does it need to be waterproof for what you do? I wouldn't let that stop you from getting one. How they perform, nobody knows yet. But I sure wouldn't let the Ace name, the Ace series that's out right now, they're very limited in what they can do and stuff. I'm not going to be surprised if this won't outperform the AT Max. I don't know. We got to see. Who knows? But we will just have to see when it comes out. But let me see if I can call Dorian again. Tell Dorian pick up the phone, Dennis. I apologize, guys, if you can hear that coming in.
Hello there.
There we go. There we go.
There we go.
Now we got you. We just got off the phone with Gypsy. Dorian, I apologize. I hope you got my message.
Yeah, I did.
Okay, good.
Hang on a minute. Hey, wait a minute. We got it? Yeah. Okay. All right. Are you there, Mike?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we had an extra ringing Skype phone there. We were trying to get that turned off. Okay.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we got you now.
Yeah, we're sitting here counting out the grading the gold coins we found in the 2 jars we dug up today.
Nice.
No. If you believe that, I've got some swampland to sell you right here in Kentucky. It's called my place.
Yeah, pretty rough, huh?
Oh, we're getting pounded. So far, it's been a total washout. We have had the second biggest flood in 5 years last night. I've got major damage. I've got trees down everywhere along my creek and crossing. Dennis and I had to flee. We were scouting out a new permission, several thousand acres with house sites we think have never been touched. And we had to turn and flee because of an approaching big storm. The lightning hit, and the thunder started around us, and we fled for home. And I had to drive through several miles of flooded road of water over a foot deep. And we barely got home. Thankfully, the flooding stopped just before we got to the mountain that we crossed to get over to our place. On the other side of the mountain, there had been less rain, and we were able to cross our creek just an hour or two before the big flash flood hit.
Well, Dorian, what I have to say is I don't care how you do it. I don't care if you guys got to find a boat. You get him back at the airport on Thursday.
That's the problem right now. I've got a big giant tree that uprooted and washed down is blocking my crossing, and it looks like part of the crossing where the water's flowing is washed out. And I'm dependent on a neighbor farmer to get down here with his big tractor and get me out of this mess. So, we're hoping he'll get here tomorrow. The problem is it hasn't stopped raining since last night, and the creek's coming. It's went down and started come back up again. And he can't fix it until the water goes down. So
oh boy.
But we just can't. I mean, what can you say? You got almost 100% chance of rain for the next 5 days.
Oh. Well, tell Dennis we'll see him come fall, I guess.
Yeah, Mike says that he'll see you come fall, Dennis.
Likely so.
Okay.
You guys having a good time?
We are still having a good time. We've solved at least half the world's problems, right, Dennis?
Amen, bro.
I tell you, we put our heads together and used all this combined wisdom we've accumulated the last 2 centuries. And, we're not quite that old, are we?
No.
Okay. So we're going to send President Trump all of our solutions, and hopefully he'll implement those right away.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny. Well, that's a shame you guys haven't been able to hunt.
Well, yeah, it's a good thing that we're both talkers and we both have more stories than we could tell each other in probably 2 weeks.
Hey, Dorian, I want you to know any stories about me are most likely lies that he tells. Yeah, I would say they're probably lies.
Oh, you mean you're really not confused about which bathroom to use?
No. Well, maybe a little bit sometimes. I don't know. Sometimes I want to go sit down and use the bathroom.
I should have said that. I apologize.
No.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, everything he said about you, I just want you to know, he said about you.
He said about me. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. You two together's a little bit scary. A little bit.
Yeah, we've been making plans for when we get you out with us, boy.
I can't wait.
You know that when Dennis worked for the fire department, he was a number 1 5-star trickster. So you just better be prepared, buddy, because you're going to get the business from one end to the other when.
Oh boy. Yeah, he told me some of his tricks he's played. Yeah, I've heard them. I'm a little scared, but he's been pretty easy on me so far. I'll be honest. I'm waiting for it though. I'm waiting for it. But yeah,
Oh, boy.
he's got to get back because Gypsy's getting that Apex tomorrow, and we need to go metal detecting.
Oh, okay. So she doesn't have one. Doesn't have one yet, huh?
She'll have it tomorrow.
Okay. All right.
Mm-hmm.
I had one brief look at the, I guess the cover screen for the announcement. Did not get to listen to the announcement. We've been so busy. But the first thing that I noticed that I was a little disappointed was the handle. It's that off-the-shelf stock foam handle that they've used for years.
Hold on, Dorian. Hold on a second. I went and looked at that after we got off the phone.
Oh yeah.
Before the podcast. That is not foam. That's the same as the Max handle, which is like a rubber. It's rubber. It's the same
handle. The AT Pro handle.
No, same as the Max handle, which is different.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
I don't know what the Max handle looks like. I've got a Pro, so the Pro's got it. They got this same handle, and this thing, we were using these things on Garrett detectors back in the 70s. Mm-hmm. It's an off-the-shelf bicycle or motorcycle hand grip, and one of the things I really do like about the Simplex is that molded rubber handle. It fits your hands so good.
Mm-hmm. We were talking about the Simplex earlier. I love it. How are you getting along with it?
Well, let's see. Did I tell you I got my first coin with it? I did, didn't I?
I did, and I've tried to call you back on that, and I even left a message finally. I don't know if you've been busy or not getting them, but yeah, I saw that.
Well, Mike, we've had badly degraded phone reception here. Dennis has had the same problem, so I know it's not just my phone. The rain has been so heavy, it's interfering in the wet foliage. It's interfering with our signals.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's neat. Yeah, I tried calling you a few times last week, and then I left you a message finally because I was really excited for you. But why don't you tell that story?
Yeah, it was an interest. We actually got a fair weather day. This was before Dennis got here, and my sometimes really cunning buddy I call the Viking because he is truly a Viking, even though he's living in 2020. I'm convinced he arrived here through a time warp. I'm scared to death. I'm scared to death he's going to show up on one of our hunts with a battle axe in his hands. Then I'll know I'm in trouble.
Right.
But, he truly is. He's got the big droopy Viking mustache, shaved head. He's 64 years old, and he works out, and he's built like Bigfoot, like Mike Squatch, and and he's very, very competitive. But anyway, the amazing thing was I've been driving by this farm on the Ohio River on the way out to my beanfield permissions for several years, thinking, man, I'd like to get on that farm. I bet there's some old house sites along that riverbank that go way back. And he calls me up, and it turns out he's related by marriage to the guy that owns the farm. I had tried to get on the farm talking to the guy, and I got nowhere. I mean, he gave me the bum's rush right away. And so, I thought, well, I guess I'm never going to get on that farm. Well, my buddy the Viking got us permission, and we went down there, and the guy showed us two old house places that date way back to their probably 1825 or 30.
Wow.
And he was born on that property in 53, and he said that nobody's ever hunted it with a detector. So we thought we were going to be in coin heaven. And we got on the old house site, and it was a typical 1820s, 30s, but the thing was, it must have been standing until maybe shortly after he was born, before he was old enough to remember, because we kept finding modern can slaw, aluminum, Pepsi caps, things, that was on top of everything else. And they had the usual iron, Mike, a lot of iron.
Yeah.
So it was a good test for the Simplex for me on iron separation. And I was hunting in field mode. And we were blessed that he runs Black Angus cows on this 80 acres. And the grass was very short. The cows had eaten it down nicely. It was perfect for detecting. The soil was sandy. It had a lot of sand, easy to dig. And we started digging some unusual old pieces of brass out of some kind of devices. It was hard to tell how old exactly they were. They were all green with age, and he got a coin right away, and it was a wheat penny. So he got the first coin, and I'm still, this is my second outing. I got about 2.5 hours the last time we went out because he showed up so late. So I'm still kind of learning the detector and getting comfortable with the controls. I'm still having trouble from my using the AT Pro mic. I keep pushing the on-off button, thinking I'm pushing the pinpoint. I keep turning the detector off.
Oh, no.
And that's not the company's fault. That's just my having to get used to a new detector, a new location.
Oh, that stinks.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I did use it all afternoon. We got 4.5, 5 hours before he got there late again, but at least we got to hunt the whole afternoon. And I would say about 20 minutes, 30 minutes after he got the wheat penny, I got a really good signal. I was running tests. I was putting coins down on the ground, modern coins, and checking the signals and everything to see what to expect, how they compared to broken signals, one thing or another. And in the iron on the non-ferrous targets, I was getting really good, solid hits on the Simplex. There wasn't any. I mean, there were signals where I would get readings anywhere from 4 all the way up to 92. It would jump back and forth. And I didn't dig too many of those because I wanted to focus, as I'm learning the detector, just on the really good, high, solid signals to see if I could. I wanted to know, I wanted to have the confidence that it's going to really nail those coins. So I get a really great signal, full volume. It goes, reads 92, and it just stays there. I go back and forth on it, and it locks on 92. And I thought, well, this is interesting. This could be if this was my Garrett, this would probably be an aluminum can. So I pinpointed, and I realized it was coin size. I detuned and shrunk the coil down, and then traced the signal. And I said, oh, this is a coin size signal. And it's told me it was deep. I haven't quite figured out how much depth it's telling me with each one of those bars on the depth scale. They don't give you in the manuals or the books. They don't tell you, well, this represents 2 inches or 1 inch. It just says the more bars there are, the deeper it is.
Right.
So I'm getting about 3 to 4 bars on the deal. So I'm going to assume that this is a deep coin. And I'm thinking if it's deep coin, it's probably an old coin. So I really worked down the pinpoint to make sure I knew exactly where the coin was center-wise. And then I took my shovel and I cut a plug about no more than 6 inches in diameter. And I popped the plug out. It broke away from the soil underneath. So I went down with the shovel and I just pried up the loose dirt. So I have a very narrow shovel, very long, and I pried up, and there's the shovel. I just laid it down on the ground, and the shovel part is still over the hole with the dirt that I had pulled up in it. And there's a big old large cent laying right on top of the dirt in plain sight.
Nice.
And I was real proud of myself because I had pinpointed that very accurately. It was right in the center of the hole where I wanted it to be, so that when I went down vertically with the shovel, I wasn't going to hit it or scratch the coin. But it was 8 inches deep. And like I said, I was amazed at how loud the signal was. I thought until I looked at the depth meter that this had to be a shallow. If it was a coin, it was going to be a very shallow. And I'm thinking, well, maybe this is a new coin or something, But I don't know. I haven't dug any silver with it yet. And I haven't run any tests with static silver coins. So if I get a 92, Mike, on a large cent, what am I going to get on, say, a Barber dime?
I'll be honest with you. I haven't used it for any kind of coin hunting. I don't even think I found a coin with it. I've only relic hunted with it.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know. I don't know.
If anybody that's listening that's used a Simplex for a lot longer than I have, I'd be curious to know what readings you're getting on silver coins in the dime. I'm sure a quarter is not going to be a problem, but I'm interested in the dimes and half dimes because that's what are out here in our area to be found on these old house sites.
I would guess. I'm trying to think. I think I found an Indian head with it. I don't even think I haven't been at anywhere with new kind of coins, or I haven't found an old coin with it except the Indian head. Maybe a large cent.
Yeah.
I know I haven't found a silver coin with it yet. I don't remember. I'm going to guess. I mean, you're usually talking on a dime, 92. I mean, you're probably looking 87, 88 for a dime, I would suspect.
Okay.
Oh, somebody chimed in 82 on a Merc.
Okay.
So I'm wrong. Okay. So about an 82. So if that's, I want to say that, that Indian came in around 68, if I remember correctly. I could be wrong, though.
Okay. What about, has anybody else had a similar reading on the large cents? Is it normal for them to come in that high, around 92, at 6 or 8 inches deep? If anybody can answer that, I would appreciate it.
Bill did say it'll be a definitely dig me kind of signal. They blast through. But no, I've only been relic hunting with it. I'm trying to think. I think I found a large cent with it, but I'm not positive.
Did Jeff you already find that large cent the first time you took him out?
Yeah, he was using his ORX though.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, they're saying 92 on a large cent.
Okay.
So that's probably where a silver quarter will come in as well. They're usually right there hand in hand, real close.
Okay.
I'd be curious. Can you guys tell me what a silver coin will come in at, or a silver quarter? He said he had a seated at 8 inches and it hit 60s, but it was smooth. He said it was deep, could have been turned on edge, just as DD.
Okay. All right.
He said he hit a large cent or low 90s. So yeah.
Okay. All right. That's good. And I want to illustrate a point for our newer hunters that are listening. I've got over 8,000 hours on metal detectors, I'm sure, but I've got a new detector, and I'm just almost in the same boat in many ways as some of you newer folks are with your detectors. I've got to learn this detector. I could grab my old Garrett AT Pro, and I've got, a couple hundred hours on it, and I could go to that same site, and I might find 5 coins with it, not necessarily because it's a better detector or it's going deeper, but because I'm so familiar with it. Mm-hmm. So the point is, I've got to pay my dues on the Simplex like everybody else does.
Yeah, I'm just blown away by it. I think it's incredible. I like it better than a lot of the higher end detectors I've used. It's simple. It gets the job done. I'm getting good depth.
Yeah.
It's good in iron. It just gets the job done for me.
I was impressed with the iron separation. Mike, but there's one thing I would pay Simplex an extra $100 or even $200 as they would do.
What's that? That's
turn that pinpoint button into a trigger switch right at the top of where your index finger would be when you're holding the grip. So all you have to do is pull the trigger like firing a gun. That would make That would make pinpointing so easy. Put it in a rubber boot to waterproof it. Oh,
Yeah. Well, the problem with that is I don't know if there's any good waterproof toggle switches. I know there's some that the military use, and they are astronomical. Astronomical. Any waterproof detectors or anything waterproof toggle switch that I'm aware of is like military grade and big, big money. There's waterproof boots or, stuff like that, but they don't hold up.
okay.
Any manufacturer would have trouble with that. But I'm with you that the pinpoint button, all the buttons are stiff, and that's fine because you go through the menu at setup and you're done. You're not using it, but that pinpoint button, man, that thing is stiff. And not only that, it's on the left side, and I'm left-handed, so I got to twist my thumb back. By the end of the day, it looks like I'm trying to, hitchhike everywhere I'm going because my thumb's sticking straight out and beat up.
Right. But if there's anybody listening that's involved in designing or building metal detectors, please think about which switches are used the most or controls of a detector. What switch is used more than the pinpoint button?
Right.
So the pinpoint button needs to be in the prime position. It needs to be big and comfortable. That little button underneath that rubber cover started to eat a hole in my finger by the end of the day. Trying to, I would have to put so much pressure on it to keep it down. It took some of the fun out of detecting. Now, there's many, many things I like about the Simplex, and I'm not putting it down, but I'm not going to gloss over things that I think need a little bit of improvement on, because they're going to come out with new models, and if they don't get feedback from those of us that use it, we're not going to get the changes we need.
Yeah, I tend to overlook too many things if performance is there. But I have said to them, put that thing in the center and make it easier to push. I'm left-handed. I got to twist my thumb back. It wears me out by the end of the day.
I agree. It needs to be right in the center, and that way it doesn't matter whether you're left-handed or right. It works, and it needs to be comfortable and easy to push and hold. I kept. If you're wearing digging gloves, it makes it extra hard to keep that little button down. When I'm detuning, I need to hold that button down. But once I've shrunk my coil down, I need to be able to hold the button down and not have my finger slip off. And I found I was having difficulty with my digging gloves on. And the problem is, Mike, you take your digging gloves off, then that little button is going to start, like I said, eat a hole in your finger. You're going to have a blister by the end of the day. By the time you pinpoint 200 or 300 signals,
Yep. Oh yeah, it's tough, and being left-handed and having to twist my hand back over across the shaft, it's hard. And what I find I do is my finger, I can't keep enough pressure on it, and I'm detuning it, and my finger slips off, and I got to start over. And it's frustrating, but man, I will overlook a lot of things if performance is there, and performance is there. But I agree, moving forward, I would love to see them fix that. Now, those buttons, although very stiff, and I will admit I've never had a detector with the problem. I've had a lot of detectors that I can't, like, the buttons feel so cheap. And I don't like them. And again, I've never had a problem with a button, but I've had detectors. It's like, I can see me breaking this, or I can see this wearing out over time. And although it's never happened, but man, I love the feel that thick rubberized, on the other buttons, but where they put that pinpoint is rough on me.
Yeah. Well, it's something that, they have paid a lot of attention to the technology, to the features. I'm blown away that I've got a flashlight, on the front that I can shine on the ground.
Right.
If I get busy and it gets dark on me and I've got to walk back to the truck a half mile through snake country, I can turn on the light. And I've got a backlight, which means I can hunt later at night. I kept having to quit earlier than I wanted to with the AT Pro because there was no backlight on it. That was one of the things I think that they ought to put on the next version of it, the next year's model, is get a backlight on there. But I think Nocta Macro thought of a lot of things, and it's a first effort, and it really is a new detector, in so many ways. A new experiment. I still can't believe the price on it. It's just what a bargain overall. So
absolutely. Now, okay. You used to work for Garrett. You seen the video, I think. What do you think about this new detector coming out?
I haven't seen the Apex video.
No.
No. So I can't really comment on. You guys were talking about multiple frequencies all at the same time. You're saying that it's operating on 2 or 3 different frequencies all at the same time, right?
Well, you can run it in 5, 10, 15, or 20, or you can run all 4 simultaneously.
Okay.
Which is what MindLab has. MindLab was the first to do that, as far as I know.
Yes.
And that's on the Equinox series, and they're very popular.
Okay, and again, not having any experience in running one of those multi-frequency machines or simultaneous different frequencies, do you have any? Can you give me any information about what the advantage of that is? What does it do for you exactly?
Well, like when you're running in, like say you were going to run in 5 kilohertz, you're looking for bigger targets usually. That's more like a cache kind of mode. 10 kilohertz, you're going to run that, and you're going to, if I'm going to run in 10 kilohertz is roughly, that's a good all around. 15, 20, you're getting up into, like what you might use in a field, because there's small buttons.
Yeah.
On the saltwater beach or something, or on a beach in general. But, it's combining them all. But not only that, what the magic is in like the Equinox, I don't know, but guys are just loving it. The Equinox, from the people I've spoken with, have from my understanding, the Equinox has taken over saltwater beaches. It runs smoother than anything else before, other than a dedicated water machine. Like the X-Cal. The Excalibur is MindLab, kind of ruled that for a lot of years. And, Bill's saying it works really good in the heavy iron patches. I think he's got an 800 now. There's just a lot of why there's benefits to it. I don't know, but I know that, the popularity with the Equinox series because of that multiple frequencies. So I think it's a big step, and I think that's what we're going to see, where we're going to see technology heading, because Nocta Macro, I want to say a year and a half ago, said they were working on the same thing. And, here Garrett got to it before them, but I think that's a big thing for the future. Brian says it handles minerals like a champ. Saltwater, quiet as a church mouse. Better target IDs. So...
Okay,
hey,
good. That's good information.
Yeah, Brian, why we have you, the Vanquish, why am I not hearing anything about that? I mean, has it just not taken off? Do you know anybody using it? Is there any kind of feedback you're hearing? DD is Brian Harvey with Digger's Den.
Okay.
He said you can hit a cannonball at 2 foot down and at the same time hit an earring 3 inches down.
At the same time?
Yeah, at the same time with that multiple frequency.
Oh, okay.
So,
you're getting You're getting two different signals in your ear at the same time?
No, what he's saying, no. What he's saying is with the simultaneous multiple frequency, you can do, it's like you can look for both at the same time.
Oh, okay.
He's just giving an example of what that multiple frequency is capable of, the simultaneous. Yeah.
Okay.
7 says because the Vanquish is not waterproof. I mean, I get that, but I mean, how's it perform? I mean, it's running the multiple frequency. I don't know. It's something I'd really like to know more about, because I'm kind of surprised I'm not hearing anything about the Vanquish. I suspected that it'd have some popularity, but I just haven't heard anything about it. I don't know anybody using one, but yeah. Mm-hmm. So maybe we'll get some feedback.
This information is pretty old, but I think it still is. It might give some of our listeners some food for thought, Mike. Back in the day, the late 70s, the Garrett ADS Deep Seeker and the Garrett ADS Groundhog kind of took the metal detector world by storm. Dennis remembers. He's sitting here with me nodding his head and stuffing his mouth with popcorn at the same time. But anyway, that Deep Seeker was right at just barely under 5 kilohertz. And, it was the the Cannonball Hunter, the Deep Iron Artifact Hunter, finding like rifles buried deep in a swamp or something like that. Man, that machine was just truly awesome. Heavy, but, there were things you could do to compensate for the weight. But the Garrett Groundhog operated at a strict 19 kilohertz. And it was hot on brass. You remember that, Dennis?
Oh, yeah.
It would hit buttons. It would hit... Mike, I saw on a Civil War battlefield in Louisiana called Chapman's Bayou. We were up there hunting a pasture where this intense part of the battle took place. And there was a fella that was actually the top Ford truck salesman in Dallas. His name was Jim Rackley, and Jim was I was hunting with him for the first time. He was a friend of one of the other guys that I invited to come, and he brought Jim along. And Jim was using a Groundhog with a 10-inch coil, and the rest of us were using the ADS Deep Seekers with 14s. We were trying to get the deep minis and stuff. And we'd been there, probably a couple, 3 hours. And we kept noticing that Jim was over on the other side of the field. And Jim was a big guy, Mike. He was about your size.
Yeah.
And,
so big, handsome guy.
Oh, well, I didn't say handsome. I just said big.
Not handsome like me then. Okay.
Yeah, not handsome like you, huh? Yeah. Jim kept digging, and I'm thinking, what's he digging? A well over there? It's not a deep. It's not a Garrett. It's not an ADS Deep Seeker. It's a Groundhog. And I had hundreds and hundreds of hours on both machines. I knew them both intimately. And he just kept on digging. And his buddy Paul goes over, and watches him, and finally he hollers at him. He says, "Dorian, get over here." So I come walking across the pasture all the way out, like, this had better be good. Get over there and look down in the hole, and it's still in place. He's managed to clean the dirt off the front because the dirt wouldn't stick to it. And I'm looking at a gold-plated U.S. cartridge box plate at 18 inches deep.
Wow.
Brass with a lead back. And I'd never seen anything like it with a Groundhog. I would have expected 18 inches on a Deep Seeker with a 14. Mm-hmm. But the soil was medium minerals. And by the way, this particular plate, you might dig 100 U.S. cartridge box plates and never see one that was gold plated. Mm. I knew before he took it out of the hole, this had to be extra special. So he gets it out of the hole, and it was a sandy soil. It was pretty easy just to, get the loose sand off the back. Mike, and there, deeply and professionally engraved or stamped into the lead, was E.O.C.Ord. O, capital O, small letters R.D. General E.O.C. Ord, one of the well-known Union generals of the Civil War, and his name was stamped in the back,
Wow.
and that cartridge box plate was gold plated, and there wasn't a single flake of that gold plate missing. It was 100% on the front, with the most beautiful cartridge box plate I'd ever seen.
Wow.
And we did a little research, and it turned out his men had presented that to him. It was a presentation plate from his regiment. And somehow he lost it on that battlefield, and somehow it got down 18 inches deep in the pasture on the side of a slope.
Something that's a really neat story. Something I want to talk about here. They're talking about it in the chat.
Okay.
And so when that release came out Friday, one of my thoughts was, when a detector comes out and it's not waterproof now, I wonder how it's going to do because of the AT Pro. The AT Pro kind of changed all of that. Now everybody wants it whether they need it or not. And I've wondered if that's why I haven't heard as much about the Vanquish. But with the technology in the Vanquish, I didn't think it would affect it too much. So they put the Ace Series name on this new Garrett, and that concerns me a little bit because, like I said earlier with Gypsy, I think that, Ace is associated with entry-level detectors.
Right.
You're
absolutely right.
For the last 10 years or so at least, and then not being waterproof, and then, but what's a little bit scary now is they're talking in chat, and like Brian Harvey saying, he thinks that's a big reason why the oh geez, my mind, let me tell you, I've been with kids all day. It's hard enough just to talk. The Vanquish, he thinks that's a big thing that's hurting the Vanquish. And let me see who said it, because now I'm confused. Seven said that he's used one and it worked real good, but it's not waterproof and he's spoiled since the AT Pro. Well, that makes a lot of sense. So I don't know how the public is going to perceive this new machine. I'm excited for it, and I think it spells out big things for Garrett. I'm glad to see them. I mean, I think this, if nothing else, proves they want your business. They are, where some of the other companies, manufacturers are, for years they've been releasing the same detector with a different name, and it's the same old technology. And this is if you look at where Garrett's been, this is all new and innovative. I also think it comes in at a real awkward price range. It's you can't compare it to the $250 Simplex, but you can compare it to like the Equinox 600 price range, which is very hot. I mean, you're going to have a hard time competing with the Equinox series. So I don't know. I think it's good things for the company, and I hope sales, I hope it does what they want, but I am a little bit concerned for the awkward of the price, not being waterproof, putting the Ace badge on it. I don't know how the public's going to perceive all that, but
can I jump in here a minute?
Absolutely.
Let's talk about this non-waterproof for a moment, okay? I'm not planning on diving into the water with my AT Pro or my Simplex, just because I can go down to 10 feet with them. All right.
Yeah.
I'm an old guy, and I'm going to be hunting basically on land, probably for the rest of my detecting career, quote unquote. But what I'm concerned about is being waterproof. If I get caught out in a rainstorm or something, I'm not going to short out my detector. I want a waterproof detector, even though I'm not going to be taking it 10 feet into the water, and I'm too far from the ocean, to be down on the beach all the time. So what I'm saying is, I think a lot of us, maybe we haven't verbalized it very much yet, but I think a lot of us are thinking that the fact that you can go out and not worry about carrying a cover or a plastic bag that you have to get over your control box or anything, I think that's a real plus. And I think that's something that the metal detecting community as a whole is going to demand on their future detector purchases. Mm-hmm. And I'm getting a big nod from Dennis over here.
Well, I
Dennis,
agree.
If you have anything you want to say, I'll give you the headphones there, okay?
I'm fine.
Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mike.
No, I was going to say, I get what you're saying completely, but I think a lot of people that are disappointed it's not waterproof, I think if they thought about it, it is water resistant. I mean, if you get caught out in a storm with it, you're going to be fine.
Okay, good.
So but I think there's people that are just absolutely turned off because it's not waterproof, who have never needed a waterproof detector. So I don't know. Brian just made an awesome point, and I think we feel the same way, but I think he put it in better words. He said, I'm super excited for the Apex. Garrett is the great U.S. hope right there. I love that because, right now, I'm not saying the other manufacturers couldn't change some things around, but at this point, Garrett is the only one that I see that is really gunning for the business. They're really wanting to stay at the top. They're wanting to be innovative, and they want our business. This machine proves that Garrett is in it to win it. I agree. They took a page from another book, but they're the only ones who have had the engineering to pull that page. Exactly. He said, I'm stoked to see Garrett in the ring. And that's, Brian and I are on the absolute same page with that. I hope they have success with it. I am concerned about those few things I've mentioned. And when it comes down to it, performance is going to be major. And we'll be hearing about that and seeing that really soon. Ronald B. said, I would like to have seen a high-end multi-frequency Garrett detector. Ronald, that's coming. I mean, they all but said that. And I think you're going to see something, in the AT line come up next. But we'll see. Brian said waterproof gives you a sense of rigidity and peace of mind to a lot of people, all terrain. No, I agree 100%. But if you're not out in water, and it's water. What I'm getting at is there are so many hunters out there who water resistant is perfectly fine for them, and me included. And if I do want to get in a lake or river or the ocean, I've got waterproof detectors. But even if not, it not being waterproof, I think for so many people isn't a big deal. I think that a lot of them think it's a big deal. But I don't know. I think we just got to see how the consumer reacts to this, and I do have some concerns. I think putting the ACE badge on it could be a little bit of a concern for Garrett. But Dorian, if I'm not mistaken, hasn't the ACE name been out since like the 70s?
Not the 70s, no, because I left the company near the last part of 79, and we didn't have an ACE that I remember.
Okay. Ace has been around since the 80s then, I know.
Yeah, I'd say the 80s probably. I'm just, again, I guess I could be wrong, but boy, I just can't remember an Ace. When I left, the Groundhog was still hot. We had the Groundhog 80.
Yeah.
We had the second generation Groundhog, the ADS with a toggle switch in the end of the handle. Oh, I loved that toggle switch. You could go back and forth between VLF and TR, discriminate with it, and pinpoint with it. Oh, it was just so easy, so comfortable, and we.
Bill said the Treasure Ace series. Yeah, I want to say 80s then, like early. I could be wrong here, but what my point I'm trying to make, the Ace name to the company is very important. And I see why they're staying with that. And at this price range, why not? But on the other hand, like I said, you look at how many have come into this hobby in the last 10 years, and there's nobody that you would talk to that would associate the Ace name with anything but entry-level detector. And I think that could be a small issue for him. I don't know. I could be way off. Here's the thing. I sit here on the air not making any money talking metal detectors. They make money, and they're good at it, and they're a good company. So, I would trust them a little bit more than the guy sitting here at his computer talking detectors. But I do think it could be an issue.
Well, Mike, I mean, you brought this up, and you focused me on that perception, and I realized after you said that, you know what? I've got the same perception. I think of the Ace as low end. I think of them as a good value in a low end detector. Not a bad detector, but
entry level price range.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think you're wrong in that perception because, like I said, you focused me, and I realized, you know what? That's exactly how I view these. It was just kind of an automatic perception thing, and I'll bet other people out there too can say the same thing. So again.
Then on the other hand, it's got 5 tones. It's got iron audio on it. It's a completely new design. It's rechargeable. It's 2.5 pounds. There's a lot going. Completely. You can ground balance it. So it's got a lot of things on it that those entry-level Ace detectors don't have. So go ahead.
I got it. We just got to get them to change the name a little bit.
Yeah.
You ever played poker?
Of course.
All right. If that's the top of the line in the Ace series, we ought to call it the 4 Aces. Because it's got four frequencies, right?
Right. Yeah, I like that. I thought you were going to have a funny joke, but I like that. I like that a lot. 4 Aces. Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. We've got it pinned down with Dennis's help here. The Freedom Ace appeared in 1985. That was the first Ace.
Okay. Good deal. Don said that price to me isn't entry level. And that's what I'm afraid so many people are going to say, well, that's not entry-level price. And, they associate that price, the Ace series at $200-$300. And here this is coming in higher. But, I have a lot of high hopes for the detector and what they're, and the technology they've put into it. I can't wait. I don't care if you got to use a boat and then have some hillbilly and a tractor drive him back to Cincinnati to get him on a plane. He's got to be here next week so Gypsy can come up and we can go hunting. Maybe the two of us together. And see, she'd come up anyhow, but the only chance Dennis and I have to get our hands on it is if we both together pry it out of her hands. It'll take both of us, or we're not going to. Yeah, if it's one or the other, we're not going to get to use it, Dennis. So you got to get my Dennis back up here so we can try that thing out.
Well, Mike's done everything short of threatening me if I don't get you back to the airport on time, Dennis.
Uh-oh.
Just want you to know. He says you got to be there to help him wrest that Apex away from Gypsy Jules.
Yeah. We need
If home is like here, we're gonna have some bud wrestling.
Yeah, he said if home is like here, we're gonna have some bud wrestling. Well, one thing about it, I've got a witness now. When you hear me complain about it rains all the time, Dennis is living and he's seeing what I'm talking about. Unbelievable, it's just. But I warned him before he came. I said, there's no guarantees. We started out with one possible day of rain. And by yesterday, the forecast was changed to like a 98% chance for the next 5 days. And we're under a flash flood watch from yesterday until 10 o'clock tonight.
Oh, yikes!
So
I keep reading Brian's comments here, and every time I see a new comment pop up, I think, why isn't he doing this podcast? He words everything I say so much better. Here we're thinking along the same lines, but he makes it a lot more eloquent. You know what I mean. Geesh, I'm horrible. He said the ace name for the Apex was more of a legacy move. I think that's exactly how I feel. Just Brian put it in such a better term. But yeah, like it's their legacy. The ace has been a big thing for them for a number of years, and that's how I feel on it. There was something else I wanted to read here real quick. Don said we need good U.S. competition in the market, and that's what this is what I was hoping Garrett was going to announce. I wish it was a little different. I wish they would have went after the more higher end price range, but we're going to see that. You hide and watch. They're going to hit those higher markets soon.
Can I throw out a theory?
Sure.
Just from having been, I was a marketing manager for 3.5 years at Garrett, and I know how metal detector companies think. I'm not going to limit this to just Garrett, but I worked with, after I left Garrett, I did some contract work for 2 or 3 other companies too. And I'm thinking that if they're working on the big dog, like you're talking about, the high end, the high end, hey, Bubba, look at this one.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking that they might have rushed this to market, and they didn't want it to eclipse what they're going to announce in the high-end machine. I think they're trying to walk a tightrope here and get the attention back on Garrett, because this Simplex, like you said, this is not just a ho-hum detector, another detector that came down the pike. The Simplex is making waves, and I'm thinking that they rushed this one in the ace package to get, like I said, get the attention back on Garrett while they're finishing up the work it takes to get a really big dog new detector out.
Yeah.
So don't be surprised if that turns out to be the case.
Mm-hmm. Well, they've already. The other day on their video Friday, when they announced this, they've got other stuff in the works. So I think we'll see it. I don't know. I hope it works out for them. I love to see them. Like I said, I'll tell you, I'll be real honest with you. In the last several years, I've been really disappointed in the manufacturers here in the United States, except for Garrett. I feel like 10, 12 years ago, they decided to go after the hobby side again and put some real work in. And, they hit a home run with the AT Pro. That's you can't deny that. And, in the meantime, waterproof, everybody's going waterproof, everybody's going rechargeable, and if nothing else, this detector says, hey, we're an American manufacturer and we can compete with those guys, and here's what we got. And I like that. I so like that. I'm so tired of the one company. You know, Garrett's big announcement Friday, another company, another manufacturer. I've seen more of their ads in the last week than I've probably seen in the last year.
Really?
And it's the same old stuff. You know, hey, if you guys want to compete, step up. Let's see it. You know, step up and let's see it. But quit renaming them and quit giving us the same technology. Show us that you're listening. You know, this detector, there might be things we can nitpick about it, and they should have named it this or they should have done that, but it better get your attention, and it should tell you that they're listening. You know, it's got the iron audio. It's waterproof. It's light or water resistant, lightweight. What I was trying to say, I wasn't even thinking about the light. It's multiple frequency and stuff. Brian said you noticed that with the ads, and the ads are for the same old stuff they've been rehashing for years now. Let it go. Come out with something good or step down. I just, I don't know that those companies doing that, and you know, people can say what they want about Nocta Macro and MindLab, but thanks to them, we're seeing some really improvements in metal detectors, I feel like, for the first time in a long time. Yeah, there's been gradual, but it's been a lot of the manufacturers renaming, relabeling, doing this different, adding this little feature to the same old technology, to the same old detector. And you can hate Nocta Macro, you can hate MindLab, but you better thank them.
Mike?
Yeah.
Oh, Mike?
Yep. Can you hear me?
Mike, we lost you.
I can hear you.
Okay, here we are. You're back. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Sorry about that. I think I bumped something on my computer. All right. There we go.
Brian said they got to bring it with the next one. If we're talking about the same company, absolutely. They have to be hurting. I mean, I think, from speculation I've heard, they're not too concerned because they're living off their low-end detectors, and they've got 50 of them. A lot of them are the same detector, different names, but they got to step it up, and I wish they would. They used to be such a big name, and they're just falling behind. And you can say what you want about Garrett, but boy, they're listening. What's that?
I'm sorry. One of the guys at my group sent me a GIF. I talked about we had to drive through flooded roads for several miles to get home yesterday, and it is the funniest GIF I've ever seen on the page. I'm just cracking up. I apologize, Mike. I just couldn't help myself.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
Brian's saying XP is up to bat with Nocta in the batter's box. I'd like to see what XP has. I'll tell you, if we're going to talk about XP here real quick, I was not impressed with them coming out with the ORX when they were talking about it. And I'm still not sold because of the price of coils, but that ORX is a heck of a detector. And it's got to be one of the finest digital detectors I've seen in heavy iron. It is a very impressive detector, super lightweight. I'll tell you, that ORX really kind of threw me a little bit. And some people are saying it's a Deus Light, and I agree, but it gets the job done at a much lower price, and it's got some really neat features. But XP, yeah, I to say that MindLab and Nocta Macro have shaped what's going on. I think XP plays a part in that, although they are kind of their own technology and their own thing. But XP's played a part in that. Man, they're all wireless, but the price of them coils is what keeps me from wanting to go that route. I like to be able to use different coils, and I'm not going to spend $300-400 each time I want a different coil for it. Matter of fact, I know somebody that just bought 2 ORXs because it was cheaper. Not cheaper. He said, to buy one more coil was over half the price of a whole nother detector with the coil. So he just bought another detector. Jeff Geary says he loves the ORX. Man, that thing is lightweight, fast. It doesn't stumble in the heavy iron. Nearly as bad as most digital detectors. It's a winner in my book. Absolutely a winner.
What's the price on it? What's the price range? I'm not familiar with it.
6 something.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. But coils are 300 plus, I believe.
Oh, wow.
Because it's all wireless. There's no coil wire or anything. It's all wireless. It's like Dennis's. It's just like Dennis's Deus that he brought.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Brian says he's hearing waterproof for the XP. He's questioning whether they'll bring multi-frequency with it. Nocta's planning their multi-frequency detector, and it's right around the corner. There's some innovative things going on, and there's some other American companies I wish that would step it up, but I'm just not seeing it. I'm not seeing it, and I'm seeing it from Garrett, and that makes me really happy. They're showing that they want to be in the game. And that speaks volumes to me. Volumes.
Okay.
Yeah, Ronald B. says he loves his ORX as well. It's actually even lighter than his Deus. Pick up his Deus when you get a chance.
Okay.
The ORX is even lighter.
My regular Raleigh cutting partner, the Viking, is he uses a Deus too. And anyway, by the way, on that house site, he's got 3 years experience on the Deus, and I'm in hours 3 through 8 with the Simplex, and I held my own. Looking at the fines, comparable fines. Mm-hmm. And I really believe I got better iron separation than he did. I really do. Yeah. He dug a lot of iron signals that were given him that he thought were good signals. And I was just, like I said, I've still got more work to do, but I'm excited, and I'm going to figure out a way to try to overcome on the. Oh, by the way, Mike, the trick that was it you that told me about lengthening the middle shaft, shortening the bottom one?
Yeah,
it doesn't work for me. I was already at full length on the middle shaft, and I can shorten I did shorten the lower shaft, but it's forcing me to take a smaller, closer swing to my body than I really am comfortable with. I still think that something needs to be done to that lower shaft.
Yeah, for us tall guys, it is a little. I have been able to get it shortened up somehow or lengthened out without any wobble, and comfortable with it and comfortable with my swing at 6'3", but maybe I was just holding my mouth right.
Wow. Yeah, I'm 6'1", and I realized I thought I had some middle shaft, and I realized I was maxed out, and I realized when I pulled it forward, and I thought, okay, now I'm maxed out, and I started to swing, and the first two pieces of the shaft and the coil fell off the detector. So then I, had to go back and re-secure it. It secures real well. I like the quick clamps. I mean, you just bend them and put them up. Like I said, there's just a lot of good things here.
Yeah, there is. Now, I'll say something else. Like, I love my Rudis, and I love it in the fields. But the Simplex, even with that big coil, I was, the ORX, I'll go back to the ORX. Well, let's go to let's talk digital detectors for a second. Digital detectors, when you're in heavy iron, are often fooled by iron. You got to stop. You get that high tone, you stop, you wiggle over it, you find out it's iron. So you keep moving. Their next target, high tone, you wiggle over it, it's iron, and you're stopping a lot to make sure.
Okay.
Where like what impressed me with the ORX, I felt like it was reading the iron a lot better and wasn't getting fooled by it. But I was really impressed with the Simplex doing that with the 11-inch coil as well. It was handling that really good. Yep. So, well, Dorian, I think we're at a good place to call it a night. I could talk metal detectors for hours, but I hope you guys do find a way to get out. It doesn't sound like it. But now I'm just hoping you can get my Dennis home to me.
Yeah. I guess we'll have to do that. Well, we got some good touring in on the way down, and we had the weather was good when he arrived, and we did some historic touring, didn't we, Dennis?
Oh, we did.
Dennis got to see a lot of things he'd never seen before, and
that's neat.
I took him to the big county park where I'd taken a lot of Civil War relics out of it, and the defenses of Cincinnati. I wanted to show him a little bit about the defenses, and I was expecting it to be mostly deserted because of the the virus situation. Mm-hmm. And there were hundreds of people in the park, and maybe 1 out of 10 was wearing a mask. And the Kentucky governor has mandated masks for everybody out in public. And they didn't have signs and banners, but it looked to me like a passive protest, Mike. And a lot of people weren't even doing social distancing, And so it's kind of like, I thought, you know what? This is a surprise. I didn't expect this. But I think what I'm seeing is a reflection of what the American people are feeling at this point. It was a nice day. The sun was shining. They were having picnics. It was kind of funny. All the picnic shelters are closed. They're taped off. But the outside picnic tables, everybody's sitting at. And it looked, almost normal. There were joggers. There were people fishing on the lake. It just looked so normal, and I thought, that really feels good just to see normal American life going on, And,
yeah, absolutely. Tell Dennis he's got to get home, so he might want to start swimming now. Put his swimming trunks on and starts. How far are you from the airport? Do you know?
Oh, we're real close. We're only 85 miles away.
Might have to get a boat.
Well, Dennis might have to wade the creek, and I'll have to borrow. My daughter lives next door on the right side of the creek, and so I might have to borrow her SUV to get him to the airport. I can't get mine across.
If you guys have to wade through the creek to get him to the airport, I'm going to need pictures. I'm just saying.
Oh, yeah. Well, we were hoping to get a lot of pictures, and some video. But I mean to tell you, this is about as complete a washout as I've ever run into, boy.
Yep. Tell him a good friend of mine from Ohio just sent me a picture of a cat bust $50 yesterday. He's just north of you.
A good friend just north of us, a good friend of Mike's in Ohio just north of us, just sent him a picture of his latest find, a cat bust $50.
Absolutely. All right, Dorian, let's call it a night. I want to thank Gypsy for tuning in and or turning in and filling us in on her thoughts on it. And we'll see coming up. We're going to hear a lot more out of this detector and what's going on. And Dennis, I'm glad you and or Dorian, I'm glad you and Dennis were able to jump on and tell Dennis I miss him. I haven't seen him in a few weeks. I've been thinking about him.
Okay. Hey, Dennis.
Yes.
Mike says he misses you, but don't worry, he's going to correct his aim.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, Steph's really upset with him. She's Steph's upset. Well, he was getting me out of the house to come over there at least once a week, and we haven't got together the last couple of weeks. Now he's out of town, so she's looking for a place to kill me where I'll fall in the hole, and she's just got to cover me because I'm too big to drag. So,
well, listen, if you think you're going to make me feel guilty for getting him up here and bending his ear, and spending this time with him after it's taken me 40 years to get him up here. This is a 40-year reunion, all right?
Right.
So I refuse to feel guilty about it.
I gotcha. Okay. Scotty D wants to know if you got a treasure story.
Yes, I probably do. How much will you pay me for it? I'm kidding.
I got a few bucks somewhere, maybe.
All
Don't tell Steph that though. She'll want it.
Yeah.
Hopefully
so it's bad
she's
enough. I've got Bill Marsh riding me for treasure stories, and now Scotty D's going to join. Yeah. Wow. Is this some kind of an anti-fan club or something? Or
no, they love you.
Okay,
we all love you.
Well, that's nice. Let's see. Okay. Let's talk about.
Put him on the spot, poor guy.
Okay. Let's see. That story's a little too long.
I thought you'd have it. I thought you'd be telling us about all the treasures you and Dennis been finding.
I told you we hadn't even turned on a detector yet. We just got a place that might have some potential, And here comes the thunderstorm and the lightning and the rain, and it hasn't let up on us since. I mean, Mike, I literally drove through. Let's see, 1, 2, about 3 miles of flooded road where the water was a foot deep in most places.
Wow.
Dennis says, you're getting too far right, the ditch over here. Yeah, it was,
Bill,
I've never seen it like that here.
Bill says, I'm sorry, go ahead.
That's all right.
Yeah.
Bill says what?
Bill says, tell Dorian he needs to tell you about the tale of the forgotten fort treasure. And I think I know what he's talking about, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's what I think of. Is that the one in Ohio, Bill? Let's just say east between Dayton and Columbus. That's a neat story. He told me.
Well, maybe Bill ought to tell the treasure story this week.
Well, he might want that one. He might want to keep that one to himself or not announce it. Well,
let's see. Let's tell the story of Chimney Rock's lost treasure. Okay, it seems that in the wooded hills near the Illinois River, about 5 miles south of Tahlequah, Oklahoma, a natural stone formation known as Chimney Rock rises 60 feet from the base of a limestone bluff. Hidden near the rock was enough gold to require 2 large pack animals to carry it. Pack animals could carry 200 pounds apiece. And this is a story from old settlers in the area, a number of old settlers who believe it to be true. It seems that 6 drifters raided a settlement in Louisiana and fled northwest into the Cherokee Nation. A band of determined townsmen pursued them, hell-bent on retrieving the stolen goods. Day and night, the Louisianans followed the robbers' trail. Finally, between Wahalau, that's an Indian word spelled W-A-U-H-I-L-A-U, and the Illinois River, the pursuers came within shooting range and triggered off several shots. 2 robbers dropped from their horses while the remaining 4 spurred their animals still faster. From their tracks, the Louisianans could tell they had forded the Illinois at the mouth of the Barren Fork River, about 2 miles southeast of Chimney Rock. Again, the pursuers came within range of their quarry, and a third tumbled mortally wounded from his mount. The remaining 3 headed their horses into the dense timber, and somewhere near Chimney Rock, stashed their heavy cargo into crevices and dashed away. Eventually, all 3 were caught and slain, as in graveyard dead, between Tahlequah and 14 Mile Creek. The Louisianans were convinced that the gold that had been hidden somewhere near the bluff that supported the natural stone chimney. Did I read that right? The Louisianans were convinced that the gold had been hidden somewhere near the bluff that supported the natural stone chimney, but all their searching failed to yield a single piece of booty. Great Scott, man. Great Scott, man. I can't tell you what it's all worth, said one fellow who had hunted for it for over the years. Its weight was too much for 2 big horses to pack. You ought to be able to sort that out and calculate what it would come to in dollars, which you can do. Just figure an average of 200 pounds max per animal, and you got 400 pounds of gold. And remember that there's 12 ounces to a pound. And Dennis is over here using his finger as a calculator in the air. You got the answer, Dennis? Yeah. So what you do is you take, 12 ounces times 400, and that'll give you the number of ounces. And if you want to know, I don't know, I haven't checked the price of gold in a week or two, but it was up to about $1,750 an ounce. So 12 times 400 times 1,750, and you'll have your answer. Anybody got a calculator going?
I'm looking for my calculator. I don't know where the heck it's at on my phone.
Okay, let me make a professional treasure hunter comment here, okay?
Okay.
All these guys think they know where it is. They go looking for it, and they find nothing. And yet these guys were on the lam. They were being chased, so they didn't have much time to hide it, but they hid it so good, nobody can find it. So it comes down to this. They did not hide it where it's traditionally supposed to be, in those crevices.
Right.
They've dropped it into a hole or a body of water or something like that. So this is a case where if you're going to hunt this one, you need to look where it isn't, because that's where it is. All right, I'm done.
Okay, that's a good one. Hey, Dorian, put this one on your list for me.
All right.
You told it to me, and I don't think we ever shared it on the show. You were telling me about, I want to say it was Kentucky, where a guy was making his own gold coins. The
sprinkle dollars.
Yes. Will you tell that sometime? Next time?
I can. It's not a very long story.
If you want to share it now, I'd love to hear that one again.
All right. Okay. I live in Lewis County, Kentucky, and the next county that would be east and a little south of us, probably southeast would be a good direction for where I'm sitting right now. Somewhere on the Lewis-Carter County line. Carter County is the next county. It's famous for Carter Caves State Park. If you're ever over that way, you want to check out Carter Caves. Anyway, somewhere on the state line, there lived a man that history has gotten a little bit confused over the name, and I have researched it. He's been called Jacob Sprinkle, but his name was not Jacob. His real name was Josiah. I found him in the records. Josiah Sprinkle was a treasure hunter prospector, and some would call him a counterfeiter. He found a rich vein of silver on what's called the Laurel Fork of Kinnick Creek. Now, I know that sounds like a strange name. It's, of course, an Indian name, as anybody can figure out. Knick was a mixture of tobacco and herbs that the Indians in this area smoked in their pipes.
Knick.
Okay. And the local Appalachians don't like to pronounce all those hard to say Indian names, so they have shortened the name of the creek to Kinney Creek. Well, there's the Laurel Fork of Kinney Creek. Somewhere on that fork, it's a beautiful area to see. It's fun just to drive out there. Josiah Sprinkle had a rich silver vein that he worked. He did not own the land, so he worked it secretly. He apparently didn't want to try to get title, and the way it come out that there was a silver mine on it or anything. So he worked it secretly, and he designed and made his own silver dollars. Josiah Sprinkle's silver dollars had an owl on one side, owl sitting on a branch, and they had a kind of a six-pointed star on the other side. Not quite your usual idea of a six-point star, a little hard to describe. You can Google Sprinkle dollars probably and maybe get a picture possibly. We don't know how many he made, but what we do know was he made his own coin stamping dies, and we do know he was a talented man. And obviously, willing to work hard because silver mining is not an easy job. So he mined the silver, and the silver that he mined is reputed to be as much as 70% pure, which is really, really a rich vein of silver. Anyway, he made these coins, and they said on them Sprinkle dollar on both sides. So he used them to pay people off, debts and things in Lewis County, and pretty soon the county authorities arrested him for counterfeiting. So they took him to court, and I actually got pictures of the house that's still standing that was the first courthouse building in Lewis County. And this was back in the late 1700s, in the 1790s. And they took him to court, and they tried him for counterfeiting. And his lawyer was very successful in representing him because he pointed out, number one, each coin had more than an ounce of silver in it. So therefore, in other words, it had more than $1 of silver. So therefore, there was no intent of fraud, to deprive anybody of money in any way. Secondly, he did not counterfeit the design of U.S. coins. Nowhere did it say United States, or give any indication that it was an official United States coin. He had his own name on it, Sprinkle dollar. Well, the jury found him unanimously, very quickly, not guilty. So in a very dramatic show, he, right in front of the jury and the courtroom spectators, and the courthouse was full, according to the records. Everybody was really interested to see what happened to old Josiah Sprinkle. And everybody's interested in, if Josiah's going up the river, we want to go find his vein of silver and work at sea. That's probably why most of those people were there in the courthouse. Well, anyway, he pays off his lawyer in 75 of these Sprinkle dollars right in front of the judge, as they say, the front of the judge, the jury, and God. And there were rumors that people in Vanceburg, that there were 3 of these Sprinkle dollars still in the little town of Vanceburg somewhere. I never could connect them to anybody's name, it's not known if these actually exist. What we do know is that even one Sprinkle dollar, if found, is worth a fortune. They are among the most collectible of all coins you could ever find, and they're not even an official U.S. coin. So for anybody that wants to hunt the Sprinkle dollars, I'd say start and try to find where he lived on the Carter County, Lewis County line. His old house place whether it's still standing or not, we don't know, but that would be an excellent place to start hunting for Sprinkle dollars, because we know he had Sprinkle dollars there. And, if the coins have been to a place, then there's always a possibility that some got lost. And we don't know what happened to the dies. The dies would be worth a fortune too if they could be found. I'd be tempted, if I found the dies, I'd be tempted to actually try to make some sprinkle dollars. Not necessarily to deceive anybody, but just to actually have one, those made for the original dies.
Right. Right. Wow, that's fascinating. Yeah, I love that story. Now, you live close to it. Have you done any search for them?
I have done a cursory search. I've done what I call a scout. I've driven out on Kenny Creek. I've traveled Laurel Fork, and I've looked for any signs of mining or tailing that might be viewed from the road. There are so many gullies and hollows and stuff out there, Mike. Without some specific information, you could spend a lifetime, going up and down those hollows and things, trying to find a hidden mine entrance. I'm sure Sprinkle did a very good job of hiding the entrance to where he mined. So I think it's a project that could be worked. But the problem is I already have other projects that I'm working on. So, Sprinkle's kind of on the list, but he's not at the top.
Yeah. Now, is any of those Sprinkle dollars known to exist?
They are believed to exist. There's no indication that they were ever melted down. What seems to have happened is that everybody who got one hoarded it, as a possible collectible.
But then why? I mean, I've never heard of them. There's no pictures of them as far as I know, right? I mean, so where?
Well, you know what, Mike? Let's see. There are some pictures, I believe. Let me try something right here. Has anybody, maybe somebody's already done this. Let's see if I can find.
Let me look. Yeah, I looked and there wasn't anything I came across.
Well, I know a few tricks about finding things on the internet here from doing all my research on my books and everything. So let me see if I can do anything at all. You're probably right. This won't take but a second. I'm doing the search right now. Got it. Nope. Well, maybe I do. Let's see here. Looking.
What?
Oh, I'm sorry. This is just funny. I did a search, typing in sprinkle dollar images. And Mike, you know these little colored candy sprinkles you put on cookies and cakes and things?
Yeah, that's what comes up, and it made me hungry. Now I need
Listen, you turkey, you already got sugar problems. You
stay away
from those things. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, okay. Dennis, what you got? I got those too. Yeah, that's not the sprinkle dollars. I actually, when I told the story in one of my books, I think volume 2, Heroes and Hostels, I actually photoshopped, I created 2 sprinkle dollars since I didn't have any pictures.
Cool.
I can send you a picture of those, Mike.
I'd love to see it. Yeah, I'd love to see one when you get time.
Okay, I had a really good description, and so I made these sprinkle dollars based on the description that I had of them.
Yeah,
and, it's really interesting. It's the only coin I know of with an owl on it. So, if you ever see a dollar-sized coin with an owl in the back, grab it and run.
Yeah, right. See you, suckers. All right, let's wrap it up. I say we go look for that sometime. I'd like to hunt in the area he was in at least. That'd sure be neat.
I will see if I can go get to the not the land office, but the office in Lewis County at the county seat that has all of the records for maps and everything and property owners. I'll see if I can track down an address or a location for Josiah Sprinkle's house. I don't think nobody that I know has done that. So, maybe that we can start there. I'm going to try another search here. Let's see. I'm putting his first name in. Okay. Well, I got more coins and less sprinkles. Oh, mercy. Well, that's an interesting. That's a gold coin. We don't want that. I got it. I got it, Mike.
Yeah.
I got it. I got it. Yeah, I got it. It says it's a depiction only. Okay. All right, Mike.
I found it. Yep, I found it.
Did you find it?
Yep.
Yeah. It
sure
says
did.
It's in red letters, depiction only. It shows both sides.
Yeah, I was just reading a little bit. I found an article, and they said it was pretty crude. The owl and the star don't look real crude, so I wonder how where did they get their depiction from?
Yeah, I made the owl and the star bigger on my depiction. The one I made for the book. I don't know. Let's see. Let's go to the website. What do they say? Jacob and Polly Sheltman Sprinkle. Okay. This has to do with their genealogy, I think. Descendants of Jacob Sprinkle. Okay.
Always go to Yoakum dollars.
Here it says Jacob Sprinkle, the silver dollar man. I'd forgotten about the Yoakum dollars. That's another one, Mike, we could talk about sometime. Let's see. They're talking about sprinkles here. What did Jacob do? Jacob supposedly discovered a silver mine in a remote area in or near Lewis County, Kentucky. He used the silver to make his own coins, which were accepted as currency throughout the community. The coins themselves are said to have been slightly larger than the silver dollar, had an owl on one side and a 6-point star on the other. Naturally, the authorities weren't too pleased with Jacob's use of his homemade coins in June 1841. June 1841. I didn't know it was that late. I thought it was earlier. He was charged with knowingly and willfully counterfeiting the silver coin. The trial took place in Clarksville. Yeah, that's right. Jacob was found not guilty. What did the SDM, I'm not sure what they do when the verdict was ready, said he turned to his attorney and paid him 50 of those silver coins. Okay, so it's a similar story. We don't know what happened to Jacob after the trial. Some accounts indicate he continued to use his dollars until his death. No one knows exactly when he died, but presumably it was between 1841 and 1850. And although unlikely to be true, there was even some speculation he moved to California. But we do know one thing: he died without disclosing his secret source of silver. Okay. Well, anyway, it's something happened to all those dollars. I don't think they went too far.
Right. Yeah.
And unless he left the area or whatever, and I don't think he'd leave the area as long as he had. There was silver in that vein to be mined. Like I said, it was a rich vein. I'd say that's probably the biggest treasure mystery in Lewis County is what happened to Josiah Sprinkle and his Sprinkle dollars.
Right. That is neat. Now you got me sitting here looking. Let's call it a night. We need to get off of here.
Okay.
I'm just looking away. Our listeners are probably like, we're going to wrap this show up. You guys are just researching and yeah.
Well,
all right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in and hope you enjoyed it. I know it was a little bit kind of not where we were going, but I think we got in what we were wanting to. And you guys take care. I'm so glad you two got to get to spend some time together at least. And tell him maybe this fall we can run to Ohio and come pick you up and tell him it's just hillbillies down in Kentucky. We'll get him up in Ohio where there's a lot better finds.
Yeah, but I took him over. I mean, we had a big ceremony, and I brought him over to, the very first of the Appalachian Mountains on the western edge here, and so we baptized him as an official honorary hillbilly now, and I'm teaching him how to speak Kentuckian. So when he goes back and he's got a Kentucky Texas accent,
oh, that'll be perfect.
His wife's probably going to look at him and say, "I don't know you."
You're right. Well, I mean, baptized. I mean, with all that rain, how could you not?
Exactly.
You know,
but you understand. You understand. We first sprinkled him, and we almost immersed him when we we got on that flooded road. I thought I was going to be rebaptized.
All right, guys, have fun, and I sure hope you guys enjoy each other and time together, and have fun. And tell Dennis we'll talk as soon as he gets back.
Will do, and thanks for all the comments, and boy, you gave me a lot of food for thought, and thanks to the listeners that responded to my questions. You guys helped me, and I appreciate it. You know.
Oh yeah, we got some great listeners.
Yeah, we do.
Absolutely. All right, everybody. Hope you enjoyed it, and have a good night.
Good night.